So you might be spending good money on healthy food and supplements, but what if your body isn't actually using it? There's a saying, you are what you eat, but a more accurate saying would be, you are what you absorb. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple things that you need to check to make sure your body is actually absorbing nutrients. Plus some quick and easy fixes to stop wasting your money so that you get the most out of the food and supplements that you're taking. First, let's zoom out. Digestion is like a relay race. Food goes from the mouth to the stomach to the small intestine, and from there into the bloodstream. And like in a relay race, if any runner drops the baton, the nutrients will stall or the nutrient absorption will be affected if one of these sections is not working. So when we're treating gut health or looking for the cause of poor nutrient absorption, we always work from north to south. What I mean is we look at the mouth first, then the stomach, then the small intestine and gallbladder. So the first checkpoint we look at is how well you're chewing your food. And when you chew your food, you're not just breaking down the food into smaller bits, but you should be chewing your food 20 to 30 times. And that releases enzymes in the saliva that help to break down the carbohydrates and fats. Also sends a message to the stomach to release stomach acid so that you can stimulate the whole digestive process. So if you're eating too quickly, this can affect nutrient absorption. So if you're rushing your meals, or if you have a dry mouth, or if you're getting reflux, these could all be signs that you're eating too fast. Simple tips can be, don't watch screens when you're eating. Try and put your fork down after you eat and count 20 times. You don't have to do this all the time, but just get an idea of how long it takes. Checkpoint number 2 is your stomach acid and pepsin. Your stomach should be very acidic, around 1.5 to 3. And that acidity helps to break down protein, and it helps you absorb vitamins and minerals like iron, B12, calcium. It also kills any bugs that could be in the food. And so if you have low stomach acid, that can also affect your absorption. So why might it be low? Well, if you're over 50, if you have chronic stress, like high levels of cortisol will affect your digestive enzymes. Acid blocking medications like PPIs, they lower your stomach acid to treat reflux, but they're not getting to the underlying cause. And that can lead to poor absorption of B12, iron, calcium. H. pylori infection is one of the main causes of low stomach acid. And this can be checked with a stool test like the GI map or the gut zoomer. And you should always treat H. pylori before doing supplements like betaine HCl or just masking the symptoms with PPIs. Excessive burping can be another sign of low stomach acid. If you get your blood test back and it has low iron, low B12, this can also be a sign of hyperchlorhydria or low stomach acid. Doing calm breathing before you eat can help to put you in that rest and digest state, especially if you're stressed. Herbal bitters can stimulate the digestive enzymes and stomach acid production. And betaine HCl is a supplement that can help to just replace the stomach acid that you don't have. I prefer herbal bitters because it's not treating the cause if you just take betaine HCl. And before you're doing that, you always should check H. pylori. Checkpoint number 3 is to make sure you have enough pancreatic enzymes. When the food leaves your stomach, your pancreas releases protease, lipase, and amylase. And they break down the protein and fats and carbohydrates into easily absorbable forms. So if you're getting bloating, greasy stools, or floating stools, these can all be signs of low pancreatic enzymes. And some of the causes can be H. pylori and low stomach acid. And remember, you always got to treat that first. Pancreatitis, celiac disease, excess alcohol, excess stress, gallstones, a very low-fat diet. These can all affect your pancreatic enzymes. You can check your enzyme levels through a stool test like the GI map or the gut zoomer. And while you can take pancreatic enzymes to help increase your levels and improve absorption, you're better off getting to the cause, whether it's SIBO or too much alcohol or high levels of stress or gallstones. Checkpoint number 4 is to check bile acids and gallbladder function. The bile helps to absorb your fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, and also your omega-3 fatty acids. Low bile can lead to nausea, pale stool, stomach pain, or even bile acid reflux, which often gets mistaken for normal reflux. Poor bile flow is an often overlooked cause of nutrient deficiency. So why do people have gallbladder problems or bile flow issues? So why do people have poor bile flow? It can be low-fat diets, estrogen dominance, certain medications. As we age, that can be more of a problem. So you want to do a basic test like ALT, AST, GGT, the liver enzymes. You can do an ultrasound to check for gallstones or bile sludge. And it's important that this is addressed, and not everyone with gallstones or bile sludge needs their gallbladder removed. There's treatments like bile salts and ox bile that can actually help to treat that. You can check your vitamins A, D, E, and K, and low levels can indicate poor absorption. Most doctors don't check that. We check that at Planet Naturopath with the Vibrant Wellness micronutrient test. Herbal bitters again can be helpful here, like dandelion root, globe artichoke. Supplements like ox bile or tudka can help some people. It's always best to work with a practitioner if you're taking these. Supplemental ox bile or bile salts like tudka can help, especially if you don't have a gallbladder. And the Vibrant Wellness Gut Zoomer can help you measure the bile salts and fat absorption. Nutrients that can also help with bile include taurine, choline, phosphatidylcholine, and even going for a 10-minute walk after eating can actually help to stimulate bile and keep things moving. So checkpoint number 5 is the small intestine and the lining of the gut mucosa. So even if you're chewing your food well, you've addressed the low stomach acid, you've optimized your pancreatic enzymes, you have enough bile salts to break down the foods you're eating, there's still one more step. Your intestinal lining absorbs digested nutrients through tiny villi. Your beneficial bacteria make vitamins, short-chain fatty acids, and they help to protect that gut lining. So things like antibiotics, anti-inflammatory medications, alcohol, gluten issues, SIBO, chronic stress, they can all affect this mucosal membrane and affect absorption of nutrients. So doing a SIBO test, and I recommend something like the food marble for that. Once again, checking the stool with a gut zoomer test can measure calprotectin and other inflammation markers, can measure zonulin and your microbiome to make sure that you have enough diversity to help with absorption of nutrients. If SIBO is present, you want to address that. Get a variety of foods into your diet to help microbiome diversity, and even prebiotics and probiotics can be helpful here. Remove any trigger foods for 4 to 6 weeks and see if there's improvement. This could be things like gluten, alcohol, excess sugar, and processed foods. Gut healing nutrients include zinc carnosine, butyrate, omega-3s, and you want to reduce down the inflammation first before trying to build up the microbiome. So they're the 5 things you need to check to make sure you're absorbing nutrients. There's also certain drugs that can affect the absorption of nutrients. I already mentioned PPIs and how they can affect magnesium, B12, iron, calcium absorption. Metformin affects B12 levels. The oral contraceptive pill affects B vitamins and zinc. Statin medications can affect coenzyme Q10 levels. Chronic stress, poor sleep, this can all affect your absorption. Doesn't mean you should stop taking these medications, but you want to work out the best way that you can absorb nutrients effectively. The best way to know if you're not absorbing nutrients is to do an advanced micronutrient panel like the one from Vibrant Wellness. This checks for fatty acids, the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, all the B vitamins, amino acids, minerals, and also looks at intracellular and extracellular levels. If you have low levels, you might want to do the gut zoomer, which I mentioned before, to help see if there's inflammation, low pancreatic enzymes, poor bile salts. This can help to get to the underlying cause. Let me know in the comments if you were surprised that you've had your nutrients tested, like vitamin D, B12 and zinc or iron, and you think you're getting enough in your diet, but you have low levels on the test. Leave a comment below if this is happening to you.